Welcome. This is one Bible from my collection. Now, this is how we received it. We received this as one contiguous book, which led us to believe falsities about this library collection of books. So, what's the truth about how this really came about? Let me show you. Someone came along and wrote Genesis, Numbers from old Sumerian stories. Someone else came along and wrote Numbers. Someone else came along and wrote Deuteronomy. Someone else came along and wrote Prophets. Someone else came along and wrote, shall we go to the Gospels yet? Why not? Gospels, Revelation, Book of Baruch, all of these books written by many people over centuries in different locations. Now, therefore, because these people kept writing these books and writing these books and writing these books and writing these books, we came to have a problem. And what's the problem that we came to have? All these books don't say the same thing, but we're telling people that they're all from the same God. So, what's the job of religion? The job of religion is to make you think that all of this came from one place. And though these don't all say the same thing, Genesis doesn't say the same thing as Revelation, the Gospels don't even agree, the prophets don't agree. The whole thing is not contiguous, it's a bunch of different books cobbled together. So the job of religion is to make you believe that all of this, all these writings, and then some people came along and said, "Oh, I don't like this one." Okay, well, we'll take that one out. You don't like that one? Yeah, let's take that one out. That won't be in the Bible anymore. We'll call it the Apocrypha. And because these were all written by different people all over the world in different places across centuries, how in the world can it agree? It is an absolute fallacy that this is a book. That's a fallacy. This is not a book. This is a collection of literature, none of it from God, written over centuries. Maybe a Sunday morning, Reverend Val is coming for you. This is church. This is church to understand that the real God is not in the Bible. Bible doesn't have anything to do with God. These are people, God knows who. We don't even know who wrote it. We don't know. That's the kicker. We don't even know that much. Who wrote it? We don't know. Scribes. That's a kicker right there. We don't know who wrote these. Multiple books over multiple centuries and from written from multiple locations, people who did not know each other. How in the world is this thing supposed to say one message? It's not possible. Religion is the art and science of trying to get us to believe that this book is from God. That's the whole Christian religion. And Judaism too. It's all the religions of the book. All the religions of the book, which we have three major religions of the book on the planet: Islam, Judaism, Christianity. I don't have anything against any religion. If you love religion, go for it. I was in religion for many, many decades. It didn't serve me anymore. If they are a religion of the book, their job, part and parcel, is to get you to believe that this came straight from the mouth of God, so that then once they get you solidified in that belief, then we can control you through this book. You're going to get another one of these books. This book, you're going to read this book every day. You're going to follow everything that's in this book. Otherwise, if you don't, you know what's happening. You're going to go down. Or if you do follow, if you be a good little boy and a good little girl, you, just like Santa Claus, you're going to go up if you follow this. And what is this? What is this? I love the Bible. I have a vast Bible collection and growing. I love the Bible. Never met a Bible I didn't love, maybe except the King James Version, for reasons that I've already explained in the podcast. I have a collection of books. I read the Bible every day to really come to the understanding of what this thing is. They told you this was from God. They told you this is God's word. They lied. They lied. That's all. Now, what we do with that information, it's completely up to us. Some people will go into cognitive dissonance and will not be able to accept that this has nothing to do with God. This is humanity's library. And as soon as I say, this has nothing to do with God, this is not from God. As soon as I say that, people say, oh my God, that book is so good for you. I didn't say it wasn't good. I didn't say it wasn't useful. I didn't say it didn't contain wisdom. I didn't say that it wasn't beneficial. I said it's not from God. See how twisted we are in the brain? That as soon as you put up a contention about this book, the people who have been baptized in the brainwashing will fight you tooth and nail, not even listening to what you said. This is not from God. Hey, Ghana's in the house. How you loving? How you loving? And the pastor's job is to get you to keep thinking that this is from God and turn to and hold it sacred and turn to and Revelation says, because the Bible says. We done heard all them pastors. I'm over it. We heard the pastors. We've been hearing the pastors for decades. I'm over it. Because now I finally understand what this is. This is a collection of literature written by humans for their own purposes. Sometimes the purposes were to create an origin story. Sometimes the purposes were to control people. Sometimes the purposes were to push a political agenda. Sometimes the purposes was to get people to get along so that they stopped uprising and revolting in the Roman government and across the entire Roman Empire. There were many different, every person who set pen to paper or quill to papyrus who wrote in this book had their own reasons and agenda for putting quill to papyrus. Many of which are lost to time because we can't ask them, why did you write the book of Jonah? We don't know. We don't know true intention. Why? Because they're not here for us to interrogate. If the person was here and we could ask J.K. Rowling why you wrote Harry Potter, we could get that full answer, and we have on many an interview. We don't have that luxury. If Shakespeare was here, we could ask him we could put him on a podcast. What was your inspiration, Shakespeare, for writing Macbeth? And we could find out more about his inner process and his intention and his inspiration and his motivation. Last night, I watched an incredible interview of the author Dean Koontz, who has sold almost 500 million books of the 100 books that he has written. And the podcast interviewer was able to ask Dean Koontz, where did you get the inspiration to write this and such book? And Dean Koontz spoke about his childhood, and he spoke about his current life, and he spoke about his father, and he spoke about how he creates the scariest villains on the planet. And Dean Koontz talked about how he creates these stories of people in there who are regular people doing extraordinary things. You see, if we even had one person that we could put on a podcast, well, what was your inspiration in writing the book of Micah? What was your inspiration in writing First Peter? Nope, can't do it. Why? Because we don't even know who they are in the first place. That ought to be a giant red flag, a smoking gun. Tell your pastor you no longer believe that this is from God. It's a great book. I have a whole collection. Wisdom sayings, absolutely. Truth, absolutely. Allegories, yes. Magic, mysticism, hallelujah, yes. Quippy sayings, wisdom quotes, yes. Ideas for living your life, sure, if you want to. From God, hell to the nah. No, not from God, not about God. This is not about God. I will say it from the rooftops 75 million times until the whole planet understands this has nothing to do with God. This I call humanity's library. It's humans writing for humans. And whenever I say this, the real God is not in the Bible. I'm writing an entire book about it. The real God is not in the Bible. Every time I say that, people ask, oh my goodness, people get very alarmed. Oh my goodness, where is the real God? Boo. We were so convicted into the lie that the real God is in the Bible, or the real God was in the church, or the pastor or the priest or the priestess had access to the real God, yet you did not. So you had to come and go into a little booth and confess your sins to someone who could grant you penance or forgiveness because somehow they're closer to God than you. Or maybe I had to pray that I accept Jesus as Lord and Savior into my heart because he's right at the right hand of God. He's part of the Trinity. I can't get to God through him, except there's only about, I don't know, 1.5 billion Christians on the planet, maybe 2 billion. There's 8 billion people, so 6 billion people ain't praying to Jesus. So what are you saying? God lost 6 billion of his people because he couldn't get them on side to pray to one Jesus? Stop it. This is foolishness. We would all be happier. The entire human race would finally stop fighting, stop having holy wars, stop thinking God promised you some land and no one else can be there. Stop all fighting over this tiny patch of land where all 3 of the Abrahamic religions are just quibbling. That place is a tinderbox. If you set off one little spark, the whole thing will combust into a holy war. Why? Why do we have holy wars? Because of this. Because people didn't understand this. Why do we have religion? Because people don't understand this. Therefore, if we never understood it, this can be used against us. This has been weaponized. The Bible? What are you saying, Reverend Val? The Bible has been weaponized. The Bible is a weapon. The Bible has been made into a weapon to beat you into submission and to get presidents to swear on it that they're going to follow God knows what, because once they get into office, all bets are off. Have you noticed? This is not the problem. They use this to justify keeping slaves. They use this. You tell me this book hasn't been weaponized. They use this to justify the slave trade. They will use this. Evil-minded people will use this for any purpose they imagine. And because people think God is in this book, God is nowhere in this book. Because people think God is in this book, I better obey. I better get in line. I better get in order. If I went outside right now and set fire to this book, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Okay, I got books on books on books on books. I love books. One of my current readings, right? Got this from Five Below. Five Below has great little books that you can get for only $5. I love the gold edge. Okay, let's get to Homer. Yeah, let's read some Homer. You see, I have Harry Potter, I have Homer, I have Lord of the Rings. Here's Homer, here's the Bible. Same thing. See? No difference. No difference. Full of amazing stories, full of amazing stories. Gods and goddesses, gods and goddesses. Wars, wars. Wild beasts, animals, and dragons, and all manner of scary monsters. Wild beasts, talking animals, all manner of scary animals. These are the same. It's literature, literature, literature. So that means we can free ourselves. That means we're free. That means we are no longer under a mistaken belief. We're free. Dance in the streets, baby. We're free. On to the Book of Enoch. On to the Book of Enoch. How you loving? I am Reverend Valerie Love at your service, divine midwife of soul destiny, practicing Christian witch, and the author of 26 books on practical spirituality, Christian witchcraft, magic, and the occult, including my current masterpiece. Well, I'm shaping it into a masterpiece. I heard something about writers the other day, yesterday, that was so true. Writers need both crippling self-doubt and ridiculous certainty in their work. We need both. So true. Currently writing the book on it. The Real God is not in the Bible. It is on Amazon, the ebook. Thank you all for keeping this book on the bestseller list. Y'all are freaking phenomenal. I will get you the link to the ebook soon. The paperback and the hardcover will be released on Kickstarter, where authors actually are compensated, well compensated for their work, right? Which doesn't always happen on Amazon. I have nothing against Amazon. I'm just telling you how Amazon works. Amazon doesn't work for authors. Amazon works for shareholders. So therefore, we cannot expect Amazon to take care of authors. Now, I love being on Amazon. I love having my books on Amazon. I love that people buy my books on Amazon every single day of the week. That I do love. Absolutely love it. And I would give you options that are even better than Amazon if you so desire. The book is on the bestsellers list and has been on the bestsellers list for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. Top 100 in controversial knowledge. Yeah, it is controversial knowledge. It's controversial to the entire system of reality. Boom, there it is. I'll drop a link to the ebook. Now, let me show you how you can get the paperback and the hardcover. Now, I want to tell you something about the ebook. I am still writing the ebook, so I have uploaded new versions of the manuscript to Amazon and to the members area right here on the YouTube channel. If you would like to support my work, become a member here. And as soon as you become a member, go into the members portal, and there you will see this lovely ebook as a gift. You don't even have to pay for it on Amazon. Isn't that beautiful? I update the ebook periodically. So if you buy the book from Amazon, if you receive the book from me as a gift, know that these versions are continually being updated as I write. And what I love about Amazon and about digital copies, the ebook, is that I can do that. I can expand the ebook. So if you haven't been in the ebook for a while and you go into your Kindle and you're reading the newest version, you may be surprised at what has been added to the book. The book keeps growing. Okay, the book keeps growing. At some point, I'm just going to have to stop myself because it's at 600 pages. Like, what are you doing, Kaisi? Put the pen down. I can't put the pen down yet because I'm not done yet. Okay, I'm not done yet. That's the ebook. If you would like the paperback and the hardcover, then that will launch on Kickstarter, and you will get the notification so you can hop on over to Kickstarter and buy the paperback and the hardcover. If you don't know what Kickstarter is, it is a platform where authors launch their books, pre-orders of their books. And if you are in our author community, I do have an author community because so many people have asked me about coaching them with regard to writing, and I love it. And I've done that for quite a few people. And we recently had a new cohort of authors, and we have a beautiful community for them. And if you'd like to be in that author community, I will drop a link to the author community. It is not paid monthly, it is a one-time payment. It is called Temple of the Prosperous Pen. And I will give you the link to join the temple if you so desire. Is a one-time payment to enter Temple of the Prosperous Pen. And Temple of the Prosperous Pen is our exclusive author community, and it includes my entire course from A to Z on the 4 phases of how I create books. And I will give you a tiny taste of it. Let's go inside of Temple of the Prosperous Pen, and I will show you what this looks like. So hold on. Let's go to Temple of the Prosperous Pen, and I'll show you what it looks like in case it's what you're looking for to write your books. Here we are inside of, it is a school community because I just love school. Temple of the Prosperous Pen. Here is the course. I want you to understand how in depth this course is. You pay once and that's it. And you stay in the community forever. I want you to understand that you receive in this course, the first thing you get in this course is my Book Empire Resource Library, which has taken me years to collate, which I use for cover design, for edge design, for author tools, for building your author stack, for making money as an author. I have so many freaking resources and tools in that Book Empire Resource Library. It is a huge Google Doc, and only clients have access to it. As you can see, I talk about your inner demons and what is going to happen and why you're not going to write your book. And the 4 phases: the ideation, creation, publication, amplification, which is marketing of your book. I give you all the strategies, A+ content, how to do all the things on Amazon, Ingram Spark, publish wide, publish only on Amazon, all of it, Kickstarter, all of it in my book. This is all my bookish magic in here. Temple of the Prosperous Pen, if you so desire to engage with us in this community. Now on to the Book of Enoch. Let's get into it. And I looked until the time that 35 shepherds had pastured the sheep the same way, and each individually, they all completed their time like the first ones, and others received them into their hands to pasture them at their time, each shepherd at his own time. And after this, I saw in the vision all the birds of the sky coming, the eagles, the vultures, and the kites, and the ravens. But the eagles led all the birds, and they began to devour those sheep, to peck out their eyes, and to devour their flesh. And the sheep cried out because the birds devoured their flesh. And I cried out and lamented in my sleep because of that shepherd who pastured the sheep. And I looked until those sheep were devoured by those dogs and by the eagles and by the kites, and they left them neither flesh nor skin nor sinew until only their bones remained. And their bones fell upon the ground, and the sheep became few. And I looked until the time that 23 shepherds had pastured, and they completed each in his time 58 times. And small animals were born from those white sheep, and they began to open their eyes to see and to cry to the sheep. But the sheep did not cry to them and did not listen to what they said to them, but were extremely deaf, and their eyes were extremely and excessively blinded. And I saw in the vision how the ravens flew upon those lambs and took one of those lambs and dashed the sheep in pieces and devoured them. And I looked until horns came up on those lambs, but the ravens cast their horns down. And I looked until a big horn grew on one of those sheep, and their eyes were opened. And it looked at them, and their eyes were opened. And it cried to the sheep, and the rams saw it, and they all ran to it. And besides all these, those eagles and vultures and ravens and kites were still continually tearing the sheep in pieces and flying upon them and devouring them. And the sheep were silent, but the rams lamented and cried out. And those ravens battled and fought with it and wished to make away with its horn, but they did not prevail against it. And I looked at them until the shepherds and the eagles and those vultures and kites came and cried to the ravens that they should dash the horn of that ram in pieces. And they fought and battled with it and fought with them and cried out so that its help might come to it. And I looked until that man who wrote down the names of the shepherds and brought them up before the Lord of the sheep came. And he helped that ram and showed it everything. Its help was coming down. And I looked until that Lord of the sheep came to them in anger. All those who saw him fled, and they all fell into the shadow in front of him. All the eagles and vultures and ravens and kites gathered together and brought with them all the wild sheep, and they all came together and helped one another to dash that horn of the ram in pieces. And I looked at that man who wrote the book at the command of the Lord until he opened that book of the destruction that those last 12 shepherds had wrought. And he showed in front of the Lord of the sheep that they had destroyed even more than those before them had. And I looked until the Lord of the sheep came to them and took the staff of his anger and struck the earth. And the earth was split, and all the animals and the birds of the sky fell from those sheep and sank in the earth, and it closed over them. And I looked until a big sword was given to the sheep, and the sheep went out against all the wild animals to kill them. And all the animals and birds of the sky fled before them. And I looked until a throne was set up in a pleasant land, and the Lord of the sheep sat on it. And they took all the sealed books and opened the books in front of the Lord of the sheep. And the Lord called those men the 7 first white ones and commanded them to bring in front of him the first star, which went before those stars, whose private parts were like horses, and they brought them all in front of him. And he said to that man who rode in front of him, who was one of the 7 white ones, he said to him, "Take those 70 shepherds, to whom I handed over the sheep, and who, on their own authority, took and killed more than I commanded them. And behold, I saw them all bound, and they stood in front of him. And the judgment was held, first on the stars, and they were judged and found guilty. And they went to the place of damnation, and were thrown into a deep place full of burning fire, and full of pillars of fire." And those 70 shepherds were judged and found guilty, and they also were thrown into that abyss of fire. And I saw at that time how a similar abyss was opened in the middle of the earth, which was full of fire. And they brought those blind sheep, and they were all judged and found guilty and thrown into that abyss of fire, and they burned. And that abyss was on the south of that house. And I saw those sheep burning, and their bones were burning. And I stood up to look until he folded up that old house, and they removed all the pillars, and all the beams and ornaments of that house were folded up with it. And they removed it and put it in a place in the south of the land. And I looked until the Lord of the sheep brought a new house, larger and higher than the first one. And he set it up on the site of the first one that had been folded up. And all its pillars were new, and its ornaments were new and larger than those of the first one, the old one that had been removed. And the Lord of the sheep was in the middle of it. And I saw all the sheep that were left, and all the animals of the earth, and all the birds of the sky falling down and worshiping those sheep, and entreating them and obeying them in every command. And after this, those three who were dressed in white and had taken hold of my hand, the ones who had brought me up at first, they, with the hand of that ram also holding me, took me up and put me down in the middle of those sheep before the judgment was held. And those sheep were all white, and their wool thick and pure. And all those which had been destroyed and scattered, and all the wild animals, and all the birds of the sky gathered together in that house. And the Lord of the sheep rejoiced very much, because they were all good, and had returned to his house. And I looked until they had laid down that sword, which had been given to the sheep, and they brought it back into his house. And it was sealed in front of the Lord. And all the sheep were enclosed in that house, but it did not hold them. And the eyes of all of them were opened, and they saw well. And there was not one among them that did not see. And I saw that that house was large, broad, and exceptionally full. And I saw how a white bull was born, and its horns were big, and all the wild animals, and all the birds of the sky were afraid of it and entreated it continually. And I looked until all their species were transformed, and they all became white bulls. And the first among them was a wild ox, and that wild ox was a large animal and had big black horns on its head. And the Lord of the sheep rejoiced over them and over all the bulls. And I was asleep in the middle of them, and I woke up and saw everything. And this is the vision which I saw while I was asleep, and I woke up, blessed the Lord of righteousness, and ascribed glory to him. But after this, I wept bitterly, and my tears did not stop until I could not endure it. When I looked, they ran down because of what I saw, for everything will come to pass and be fulfilled, and all the deeds of men in their order were shown to me. That night, I remembered my first dream, and because of it, I wept and was disturbed because I had seen that vision. We have concluded the Book of Enoch, section 4. Tomorrow we will continue with section 5, a book of exhortation and promised blessing for the righteous, and of malediction and woe for the sinners. If you came here for the reading of Enoch, there you have it. If you came for the commentary, let's get into it. We're now in the part of the Book of Enoch where we're just going to recount what was already said in Genesis probably through to the prophets. All the mistrials and misdeeds of the Israelite people, their kerfuffles and their wars and their triumphs and their escape from Egypt, and all their kings who were evil and then not evil and then evil and then not evil, all the people who had to die, and an accounting for that. We're just rehashing. Well, actually, we didn't read it in the actual Bible yet, because when we return to the canonical Bible after the Book of Enoch, we will be in the Book of Exodus. Well, We haven't even gotten in our reading to all of the events that Enoch is describing. Yet Enoch is describing the history of the Israelite people, but this time in terms of animals and birds, and it's a vision and it's horrific. And the bottom line is this: it's a whole lot of burning and judgment and malediction for the ones who didn't do right. And it's a bunch of praising and blessing and adoration and devotion for the Lord of this whole people, who does not act like a god. Because why would a god tell the rulers of the people, sheep in this story, kill some, but don't kill more than what I told you? What? That's what we're dealing with right now in the book of Enoch. In the book of Enoch, the God said, yeah, to each ruler, kill some of the sheep. Kill some of the sheep, but the sheep are your people. Yeah, kill some of the sheep, but give me an accounting. He sends a messenger, a monitor, to watch the king and write in a book. Watch the ruler. And every time he kills one more sheep than I told him to kill, bring the name back to me. And that's what he did. He keeps coming back and forth. Oh, this one killed 5 more. Oh, this one killed 1 more than you told him to kill. So wait a minute. This God, it's okay for this God to order killings of sheep, unalivings of sheep, deaths of these sheep. It's okay. Yet if the ruler does the same thing that the God does, it's not. You're going to be burning forever. And people think this came from God, the God of the whole universe. That's why the earth is in such a pickle. Look around. Planet Earth, we're not doing great. We're doing better than we used to, because we are still in a period of more peace than we've ever been on the planet. Most people have indoor plumbing. We're evolving. Most people have technology. We're getting better. Most people have the internet. We're getting better and we're getting better and we're getting better. Yet we still have among us the dark occultists who eat babies, drink blood, suffer children. We still have among us dark occultists who foment war for their benefit of power, expansion, and money. We still have among us the dark occultists who pump humans with unnecessary medications, and poison our water with fluoride. We still have dark occultists on the planet. We got to keep them in check. All the light, all the workers in the light, all the witches, all the healers, all the mediums, the torchbearers, the shamans, the truth sayers, the soothsayers, the obeah men, the obeah women, the hoodoos, the Christian witches, all of you stand in your power and manifest the world that works for everyone. All of you stand in your power. We need all the magical people to save planet Earth, because that's who's going to save planet Earth. It ain't going to be religion. Religion has not saved us yet. And more and more and more people are awakening to the truth that religion does not have the power and ability to save us, because oneness will save us, and religion is about division. Sunday is the most segregated day of the entire week. This group of people over here in their church, this group of people over here, it's siloed. Sunday is a silo day. You go into your silo of separation. We're over it. We are here, workers in the light, causing an earth to rise into the highest vibration, and that works for everyone on the planet. Everyone. If everyone lives here on this planet, everyone requires food, shelter, water, a degree of peace and abundance and prosperity with their family, and the right to be at peace and freedom. So all the shamans, all of druids, all of warlocks, wizards, all of you, work your magic, because we have work to do on this planet. All hands on deck. Isn't that the truth, Denelzia? All of you who have a book in you, we need you to step up and write your books. We need you to teach. We need you. If you learn something from this YouTube channel, start a YouTube channel and start speaking it. Once you learn something, Maya Angelou said, our great mother Maya, blessed be she in the realm of the ancestors. Mother Maya said, if you learn something, it's your responsibility to teach it. You cannot just sit here every day, family. Go get my book, get 10 or 20 copies of my book, get a book club and sit down and you'll have a discussion. If you have enough people in the book club, I will come and visit you and we'll have a discussion in person. Raise the people, teach the people, share with the people, share this video, spread the word. Let's make a Jeffrey Epstein impossible. Let's make human trafficking impossible. Let's make eating babies and selling children impossible. I don't know what they were doing on that island. All I know is this, that if you create such a force field of love, these actions become impossible. Everything is energy. So we are creating a force field energy of love, peace, and freedom. And that is what we shall continue to do. Love, peace, freedom, bliss, beauty, oneness, perfection, divine perfection. We shall continue to emanate this infinite vibration of infinite love, peace, bliss, beauty, and the strongest vibration wins. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Baby, mwah, peace.